You don't get to treat me like a Ken, Tanya.
Oh my God. You literally.
On July 21st, 2023, Barbie was released in theaters and quickly became a cultural phenomenon. Directed by Greta Gerwig and co-written by Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, it became the 15th highest-grossing film of all time, grossing close to $1.5 billion worldwide.
Margot Robbie stars as stereotypical Barbie, not to be confused with President Barbie or Astronaut Barbie. She is just enjoying her perfect life in Barbie Land, where nothing ever changes with all of her Barbie friends. Oh, and Ken is around there somewhere too.
Cracks appear in Barbie's life when she starts having irrepressible thoughts of death and flat feet.
Sounds like something sinister is afoot.
She seeks the help of Weird Barbie, played by Kate McKinnon, who tells her that the barrier between Barbie Land and the real world has been broken because someone in the real world was playing with her too hard.
Barbie begrudgingly makes the journey to the real world with stowaway Ken to find the girl who is causing her weirdness.
She's quickly shocked to learn that the Barbies have failed in bringing joy to the real world. Ken, however, is overjoyed with what he discovers: the patriarchy. And horses.
With his eyes opened, Ken is determined to bring the patriarchy to all the Kens of Barbie Land.
Meanwhile, Barbie finds her real-world counterpart in Gloria, a Mattel employee, and they team up and return to Barbie Land with Gloria's cynical tween, Sasha, in order to evade the Mattel executives who want to box Barbie.
Upon their return to Barbie Land, they find that Ken has literally and figuratively transformed it into Ken World, where patriarchy
and horses rule.
Can Barbie save Barbie Land before it's too late?
Barbie received 8 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture, Best Supporting Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Original Song.
The film has an 88% score on Rotten Tomatoes, and while it received critical acclaim, reviews were mixed. Michael Phillips of the Chicago Tribune called it a lovely, eccentrically imaginative example of brand extension and raw, untrammeled commercialism, and called the script verbally dexterous.
Times' Stephanie Zacharek praised the performances, but opined that it was a feminist film only in the most scattershot way, and disagreed with others who labeled the film as subversive.
It's time to put on your favorite fuzzy slippers and pour yourself a glass of fake orange juice, and let's get ready to discuss all things Barbie.
Oh yeah, Ken was played by Ryan Gosling. Hello everyone, and welcome to Season 4 of Popped Entertainment Review. I'm Daniel, and this is my co-host, Tanya.
Hi guys.
So we're making a few changes around here and moving in a new direction. Can you smell the fresh paint?
I love the smell of fresh paint in the morning. Almost smells like a new podcast smell. But we're still keeping our segments, right?
Yeah, but they're going to be new and improved. Before I go into any of that, though, I'd like to address the elephant in the room, and that would be the absence of a friend. So, when I started conceptualizing Popped way back in the middle of the pandemic, I knew that I would need a co host. While I like to talk, I find talking by myself, with myself, boring. I went through a few people and ideas, and then I remembered this guy that I tabletop gamed with who was clever, witty, and had a fantastic knowledge of pop culture references and quotes that I would throw out in the middle of the sessions. He would be like on top of. So we were immediate friends. So it had been some time since I saw him. And then out of the blue, I contacted him and offered him a role as a co host on the show. The rest is history. And Ben and I started recording on June 6th of 2021. And we had some really great laughs and fun, doing the show. And our friendship grew dramatically as we got to meet the stars of the shows that we loved, had great conversations with each other and interesting guests, invited our friends to join us on the show, and got to poke at each other while giving some earnest reviews of our favorite films and series that helped us as we grew into adulthood. But I think most importantly, we got to laugh a lot. And I'm really thankful for that. Over the summer, Ben decided that it was best for his life right now to step down from his role as a co-host. We'll miss his clever repartee, his wit, his inherent humanity, and we're gonna miss him. We wish you well, Ben, and we do plan to have him on as a guest host if and when the circumstances will allow it. So thank you, Ben. Hi, Tanya. How's it going? How was your break?
My break was good. Nothing exciting going on, just same old life. I did just get two new kittens. That's probably the most life-changing thing that's happened to me since
Yay,
we've been
kittens.
off air. Kittens are amazing and exhausting and destructive and all the things, but I love them to pieces. Yes, that's about it with me. What about you? What's going on with you, Daniel?
Well, similar to you, we got a new pet. We got a new puppy, and destructive, yes. Not so much though. She's been pretty good, but it is very time consuming. Puppies are a lot of energy, a lot of time. Um, I also, in the break, I got to go to Sacramento's Sinister Creature Con, where I met Casper Van Dien from, we just did the episode Starship Troopers. He was there. It was really cool. And I met Faruza Balk from The Craft, which we're actually covering this season. Um, I mean, it was awesome. I don't know, you probably can't see the picture of Faruza Balk up here behind me. And right behind me is Casper Van Dien. So at least I got some autographs from them. And Casper was really, he's a showman. The guy is like kind of always on. And he was a lot of fun. He does, I don't know if you know this, but there's a Starship Troopers game on Steam right now called Starship Troopers Extermination, I believe it's called. And he's actually playing it. He gets on and will be in the game with you while you're playing. So you can team up with him, which is pretty awesome. I downloaded the game, I tried it. I kind of suck at it, but I'm hoping that I can get good enough to jump in with him sometime. So we'll see.
That's very cool.
But we're not really here just to talk about us. We're here to talk about Warner Brothers' mega blockbuster, the 2023 hit Barbie.
But before we do that, we wanted to let you know about some changes that we're making to the show going forward. Instead of replacing Ben, because he is irreplaceable, we decided to rotate guest hosts in and out of episodes.
Some faces and voices you'll recognize from past shows, including Eric Chung, my mom, Susan Wild, Glenn Thayer, the guy who used to do our voiceover, and he was on the Breakfast Club sound table that we had. Richard Rigoli and Susanna Reeves. Richard was on the Ghostbusters sound table. And a good friend of mine with a notably awesome background in the entertainment business, Dan Doolin.
He will be joining us for our dive into the 1977 television series Soap, and maybe, hopefully, more episodes as well. We also plan to have Rachel and Ryan from the Yum Yum podcast back because we did guest on their Babylon 5 awesome podcast that they do. And we're hoping to have them back when we tackle The Expanse, which is going to be a big one.
Also, Kevin McKeever has agreed to come back for our Robotech episode to update us on the changes happening at Harmony Gold and with the Robotech franchise. If you remember, he was on the Robotech interview that we had last season.
So we do have some fun things in store for us this season, including attempting some Facebook, Instagram, TikTok live interaction stuff. So watch out for that as we fall face first, literally and figuratively, into it.
Right? We're new at this, so please bear with us. But anyway, something simple and easy that you can do for us right now is hit like, subscribe, interact on our YouTube channel. If you're listening on a podcatcher, please leave a 5-star review there and feel free to share our episodes on your socials. So we have some popped emails. Yay! All right. We have 4 of them. Apparently the break was long enough to accumulate some. So Tanya, I sent you a couple of these. You want to read the first one and then I'll take the second. We'll go through there. Sound
Sure,
good?
absolutely. Okay, so the first one comes from Jules Fournier in Marseille, France, and they write, Bonjour les amis. I just watched your 13th Warrior episode and was mind blown by the production value of your work. Very pro. Does Brain Cloud Productions edit it? I've never heard of them. Oh, and the montage with all of the Viking names was very helpful. I did not know these names until I watched your show. I am right there with you, Jules. Oh, and I will be watching all of your previous episodes now. Merci beaucoup, Jules. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jules. Yeah. Yes, Brain Cloud Productions does edit it, but Brain Cloud Productions is just me. So it's the company name I came up with after we did our Joe versus the Volcano show, because I thought it'd be cool. Brain Cloud, you know. But yeah, I would love to edit other podcasts, but so far I really haven't put myself out there for that. But hey, yeah, if you want your podcast edited, let me know. All right, next email. This one is from Scott in Manhattan, and they write, this is the best movie podcast I've watched in a long while. You're killing it. You should do the movie Stand By Me. Wow. I think Ben would agree with that. Wasn't Stand By Me on one of his lists? Pretty sure it was on his Halloween. Was it? No, teen list. It was on his.
It was teen movies. Yeah.
All right, Scott.
Good film. Maybe
we'll
we
take
should
that
consider
advisement.
that.
Yeah, maybe we could squeeze it in somewhere. Or I know we've got a poll up. Oh, I should probably mention that we've got a poll up for the last episode or 2 of this season, and it's on our YouTube page in the comments section, or it's social. It's a social section. So if you go in there, you'll find the polls. Just vote for what you'd like us to cover. Right now, Gattaca's in the lead. Who knew?
What?
Your turn. Go ahead.
All right. All right. Jasmine in Montreal wrote, the Colin Cunningham and Sue-Ann Braun interviews were so much fun and they really opened up to you. Do you plan on having more actors on soon?
We would love to. Getting actors on the show is quite a bit of work, and I don't mind doing it. It's just I actually have to take the time to email, figure out who we want to get on as a guest, and then it's kind of hit and miss. Back during the pandemic, it was actually really easy to get guests on the show. After the pandemic, most of them are working and they have to evaluate whether coming on a podcast or a YouTube show is worth their time, especially since, you know, it's not like we're paying great money to be here. Although Tanya has agreed she'll pay big cash for guests.
Oh, Yeah, I'll write you a check.
Checks in the mail. Yeah. So there's one email left. I'll go ahead and read this. Sandra from San Diego says, "You had Booger on your show! Exclamation point. Ha ha. All around win." Yeah, it was. Having Curtis Armstrong on the show, doing an interview with him was an all-around win. Let's not forget, he wasn't just Booger. He was also Metatron in Supernatural. He was Charles DeMar in Better Off Dead. And let's see, he was in Risky Business and Clan of the Cave Bear and all kinds of stuff. Let's not just call him Booger, even though he's owned that. All right. Yeah. Anyway. So let's discuss Barbie. Oh, thank you, by the way, everyone, for the emails. Please feel free to send more. We like those. Comment on our YouTube page. I already asked that, didn't I?
Yeah. That's okay. Ask again.
Let's talk about Barbie.
Let's talk about Barbie.
I guess first, I'm going to give a kudos for them bringing a topic that seems simple to the fore and successfully making a hit film that does make you question the roles that our society has put into place. I know that they say this is a feminist film, and some people criticize it because it's not feminist enough. I think that's a product of today's day and age, as well as maybe some success and failings on the part of making the film. I'd like to say first and foremost, though, and I mean this with all sincerity, I've been a feminist since I was a child, and I've always considered myself one. And the reasoning behind that is that I grew up in a single parent household with a mother in the 70s who had to struggle to take care of two kids. She couldn't get decent pay. She was discriminated against when she tried to get housing because she was a single mom with two children. And the idea back then was that if she met the right guy and married him, she would be okay and he'd be able to support us. And I kind of got a taste of what women had to deal with at a really young age. So I've always been about equality and women having their voices heard. That said, I don't know how this is going to play into this today, but I felt it was important enough to actually bring that up before we start having this conversation, because these conversations can go any direction, and I want it known before I start saying anything or criticizing or anything like that I absolutely am behind equality. So what are your first feelings about Barbie, Tanya?
Oh boy. Well, let me start with, I'm actually going to start with my history with actual Barbie, like Barbie dolls Barbie. I loved Barbie when I was a kid. Hands down. I was a child of the 70s, early 80s. I had the dream house. I had her dog, Beauty. I had her horse. I had some furniture and the clothes and multiple different Barbies, and I loved them all and played with them all the time. And when I was 10 years old, I think, I had asked Santa Claus for Scottish Barbie. That was all I wanted to get was Scottish Barbie. And Santa gave me a fatty ass dictionary, and I was so upset. But I will say, I actually just found the note from Santa not too long ago. I actually still have the note, and I still have the dictionary. And had I gotten the Barbie, she'd be, not decomposing in a landfill somewhere, most likely. So, but yes, Barbie definitely was a huge part of my childhood, in addition to a bunch of other toys. And before we even start talking about the movie, I'm curious, Daniel, if you have any history with Barbie, the toy.
Well, my sister had them. I had the male equivalent, which would be the Star Wars figures and the He-Man action figures. I don't recall ever trying to play with the Barbies. I may have picked them up a time or two, just out of curiosity, but there was no connection with them whatsoever. It was something my sister was into. For a spell. Not very long though. She was also into the Cabbage Patch Kids and what was it? It was the ones with the scent in their hair. Strawberry shortcake.
Strawberry shortcake. Heck yeah.
She had those, and I actually liked those because they smelled amazing, right? Purple Pie Man and strawberry shortcake, and there's a peach one, right? And a blueberry.
No, I remember crepe Suzette and lime chiffon, but we're getting off topic, and that's okay because strawberry shortcake was cool.
Yeah. If only Barbie smelled. Wait, no, never mind. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot of background with the toy. I don't know, the idea of Barbie to me, when I was a kid, it wasn't really even on the radar, except for my sister. As I got older, I saw Barbie more as a tool of consumerism and a way to push kids into purchase. But I mean, let's face it. Yeah, I mean, Mattel is criticized for this, but look at Lucas. I mean, talk about the biggest, like, let me just make sure nobody else can use my product and that I can get every dollar out of those toys that I can. So I guess that's just part of the American dream. I don't know.
Facts.
Yeah. What do you think of the film? I mean, now that we've kind of discussed the toy, and you had a connection with the Barbie toy. I didn't really have a connection with it. Unless there was more you wanted to say about the toy.
No, I'm good. Yeah.
All right. Oh, okay. Then we'll move on. I went into this film not knowing what to think. I mean, immediately, not having a connection with Barbie and seeing the preview, it was sort of, is this something I'm going to actually enjoy? You know, am I going to want to watch this movie? But something pushed me to see it, and it was all of the dudes getting online and immediately talking crap about it. You do that, and I'm immediately going to say, yeah, I got to go see this film because the last person I'm going to listen to is some troll on the internet, right? So I went, and I was not even just pleasantly, I really enjoyed the film. So that was kind of cool. Tanya, how about you? When this came out, when the idea of Barbie, the movie came out, what went through your mind, and how'd you feel after you saw it?
Okay, so I remember its launch, and for me, it was just an instant eye roll. I really find myself akin to Sasha in this film. That's kind of like my view of Barbie now.
The kid is Sasha, right? Yes, yeah, the daughter, the tween daughter. I would never have seen this film were it not for having to watch it for the podcast. Like, honestly. It was funny. Visually interesting, and I have a lot of thoughts about it, which we will get to. It was deeper than you think at first glance, but also way shallower. Yes. Than
you initially think that it was gonna be. I'm kind of all over the place with this film, but
so am I. Yeah. And I think that affects the way this conversation I have a feeling is going to go. And just listening to your preamble here, I'm starting to feel like you and I are probably very aligned with this film. I wanted it to tackle the social ramifications better than it did. I felt like it was more flag football as opposed to tackle football when it came to social issues. Yeah, it was a little problematic. The film is supposedly self-aware, and you're supposed to get that idea, right? I don't know. Barbie the doll was supposed to be a young woman with a job and some money to spend, but again, it went back into that whole shopping consumerism, buy, kids. Barbie, shopping for social change. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think a big tell is the fact that the film was produced by Mattel. So obviously, as I was watching it, particularly even the intro when they were talking about all little girls ever had to play with were baby dolls and they were being trained to be mothers. That's patently false. Going back in history, that's not even an accurate statement to begin with. And to try to sort of recouch Barbie as she was designed to make women feel powerful, and that is they are attempting shameless rebranding of the Barbie image, which is unfortunate and maybe also not so bad. I mean, I guess I am conflicted on this.
I don't know about patently false. I mean, you had the 2001 sort of homage there, right? With the Barbie monolith. Didn't that really happen?
It might have.
Could have.
You never know. It's possible.
I guess, I did like that the transition of going from Barbie world into the real world and seeing the social impact of the balance of power. I felt like if there was any lesson in this film that men and women can learn, it's from that, because you have to look at when they go to the real world, they see what women have had to put up with, and it's really kind of eye-opening, and to me it was a little bit shocking. Even as somebody who considers himself a feminist, I was like, wow, yeah, we really do have this world geared towards the male horses, but it was overwhelming. And I know obviously they focused on all of those things. They didn't focus on anything that is there for women, but it was well done. It made me stop and ponder, and consider. And then you look at the Barbie world and men are but an afterthought. And that was a little shocking too, because now you've got a dichotomy, a role reversal. And it should make people stop and consider, hey, maybe the idea of somebody always having to be on top and somebody always having to be submissive is not necessarily a good way for things to go forward. How do you feel about that?
I 100% agree. And for me, I think the most powerful message in the film that was sort of woven throughout, but wasn't sort of bashed over the head with anybody is, you mentioned when Barbie first got to the real world, there was this moment where she was sort of absorbing, just sitting on the bench and absorbing humanity and all of its imperfection and messiness and discomfort. And that is ultimately what brings joy, are those little moments of growth and not knowing where you fit in and figuring out what you mean to yourself and your place in the world. That search for meaning is key to having a good and, I think, happy life, as opposed to her Barbie land, which was very, everything's perfect all the time, nothing ever changes, and I think that's great.
Extremely sterile.
So that for me, that for me was a much more powerful message. I did appreciate that a lot, and I did not really like their treatment of this whole idea of patriarchy. I thought that it was very perfunctory and kind of juvenile in the way that they handled it, and sort of contrasting that with the opposite of patriarchy is revenge matriarchy. And I think you touched on that when you were saying that neither one is a good thing. And towards the end, you sort of see, I'm jumping ahead, but you sort of see people start to come into their own, and it's kind of dropped and it's never really brought up again. Like, oh, well, we're just going to keep Barbie land, matriarchy, and you're going to be in the real world and you're going to deal with that. And that was a little disappointing to me.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I think that's one of the things that always hits me when we start talking about equality, because I don't feel human beings understand where the middle line is, where that actual point is, where there's equality between a group A and group B. I feel like when people get a little bit of power here, they want to keep going. They want to get more. And I don't care which group it is, men, women, minorities, this, that, the other, there tends to be this like, okay, well now I can grab the brass ring. And I'm not saying everybody does this. I'm just saying this is one of those things where I can see why men, or even old white men, or this, that, or the other, get not on the surface frightened, but maybe underneath. And that's when they start lashing out and putting stuff online and being ridiculously combative over something. I think there's this innate fear in people that they don't want to end up on the bottom. And this film makes you think about that. And I think that's probably one of the best things this film does, is it makes you, well, it made me stop to think about that. I don't know if everybody who watches this is gonna do that or go down that road. Some people will probably watch this film and think it's the dumbest thing they've ever seen. Some people will watch this film and go, wow, it's brilliant, because they hit on all the things that I really want to talk about and discuss. But I think that it'll speak to people in different ways. Will it actually create any change? Or I couldn't tell you. I don't necessarily think so. But I do like that it tries to broach some topics. I don't know, how about you?
That's funny. I kind of have a different take than you. I feel like when Ken particularly goes back to Barbie Land to sort of recreate the patriarchy, it isn't about wanting to feel power or like that. I mean, that obviously was the end goal, but the motivation behind it, I feel like it was subtly suggested, was that he understood what it was like to be respected and to be seen all of a sudden. And for him, that meant that was synonymous with patriarchy. You know, like there was this deep desire for him just to be understood and seen for who he was, and not even really understanding who he was, because he had never really been given that opportunity. And that's where that sort of grasping for power came from, because he didn't understand how to self-actualize.
Yeah, I don't think
that was sort of what I took away from that. But
I agree with you, but I don't think that was where I was coming at that from. I was coming at it from a more of a real world perspective of people trying to dissect what they're watching. However, what you just said is absolutely spot on. I don't know. I feel like I feel like this film definitely has a lot of good things to it. There are some things I didn't care for, but that's coming up later. Because we definitely have a section or a segment called Could Have Done Without That. And I've got a big one for this film. So yeah. Oh, is there something else that popped out in this film to you that you would like to talk about?
Oh my goodness. Oh, totally. There were little moments that I really did enjoy. I have to say, when I saw this movie, because I actually did watch it twice in preparation for our recording, but I was cracking up when Barbie initially drives from Barbie Land to the real world, and she's driving through the desert in her Barbie Corvette, singing the Indigo Girls, Closer I Am to Find. And I was laughing my ass off because I used to live in Arizona for a couple of years, and at the time I was cracking out on the Indigo Girls, and there was a moment in time decades ago where I was driving through the desert blasting that song and singing at the top of my lungs, and I was like, oh my god, it's like art imitates life. But yeah, that's besides the point. I did also find it interesting the portrayal of the Mattel executives was very peculiar, in that, like, the more I sort of dissected their costumes, they were all cogs. They were all the same. Their suits, the fabric was the same, the ties were the same, except for Will Ferrell, who obviously had the pink tie. But an interesting nod to the fact that, yes, it's a patriarchy, but what does that even mean? You know, they're all little uniformed minions
Yeah.
in some big machine. So I don't know.
Mm.
I'm just rambling.
I will say that this film did something for me that I did not expect. It turned an actor that I normally despise into someone I could watch. Alan, Michael Cera, is one of those actors, and I can't tell you why. It's probably me. It's probably not him. But my gut visceral reaction whenever I've seen this guy in the past is, I want to punch him. I don't know why. I've never liked him. And when I saw his name come up in the credits on this, I was like, I immediately eye rolled, went, oh no. And then he was on screen and I was like, wow, why isn't he always like this? I actually like him in this movie. So thank you, Barbie. I'm not immediately like repulsed when I see Michael Cera now. So there you go. It's a little embarrassing to admit, but it's true.
That's so funny. I wonder, like, what role of his gave you, like, moderate PTSD? Like, if there was a certain thing that he did that just made you be like, oh my God, you're terrible.
I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's the way he speaks or his mannerisms or this side or the other, but I'm pretty sure it was Juno. And just something about him. Have you ever been around somebody that you don't know why you don't like him? You just don't. And it doesn't have to be rational. This was not a rational thing. That's why I say it's probably not him. He's probably a cool guy that, you sit down and have a beer with, or, coffee or whatever, and he's cool. But it was just that reaction when I heard him talking and acting, and I was just not, I was like, I'm going to avoid pretty much everything that you're in. And then I couldn't avoid him in this one. So I'm happy that it turned me around on him though. So there's that. Anytime you can be turned around on something it's a good thing. That means you're growing.
Truth.
I don't know. Is there, I'm just trying to think of what else there is to talk about with this. I mean, it's a feminist film. It's not a feminist film according to Mattel. And I think that's something that really is debatable. I don't know. Do you feel it's debatable, or do you feel like this is absolutely a feminist film?
I don't think it's a feminist film. I feel like it was trying to be a feminist film, but didn't really understand what its goal was. That was my impression. It was much more of the, like, let's reframe Barbie. And not to say I didn't enjoy the film, because I did, actually. But feminist, I would not go that far.
Well, Mattel's tried to reframe Barbie many times in the past. They've had problematic issues with this doll, and for those very reasons, people thinking that it was actually holding women back and didn't address body issues. And even, I guess, even to this day, Barbie, there's no Barbie plus size or this, that, or the other. It's, you can have tall, short, skinny Barbie, but there's no other Barbie. You know what? Something just occurred to me. I do have a relationship with the toy Barbie, but only because when I was in a band many, many years ago, one of my bands, one of our quote unquote fans, her name was Molly Brennan. I don't know, maybe I should take that out. Maybe I shouldn't say her actual name. Anyway, she made me a bondage Barbie and gave it to me as a gift.
Oh.
So I had this Barbie in a box. Oh man, I'm a bad CEO. Anyway, I had it hanging on the wall in my room because I thought it was really cool. So there you go. I do have a connection to the toy, just not
oh my gosh,
the way people would normally think.
That's hilarious. I will say, speaking about what you were just talking about with the Barbie and the body image stuff, I think honestly, if I were to look at anything in my childhood that caused me the most damage, It was probably Disney movies more than anything. I wouldn't even put that blame on Barbie. It was the Disney princess that effed me up for quite a while. So,
You know,
talking to you, Disney.
honestly, I could see that, and I think that's a good whole nother episode we could do.
Yeah.
Because I would love to hear that. I'd love to hear your rationale behind that, because yeah, Disney princesses. There's so many issues I have with Disney, and the only value somebody can have is if they come from a royal family somewhere in their lineage. That kind of stuff bugs me too. So yeah, I would love to have that conversation. We should just one day be like, okay, let's get all this Disney crap off our shoulders.
There we go. Oh my gosh. Let's do it. We could have like a Disney hate session or a Disney struggle session. That will be it. Yes.
Yeah, well,
It'll be fine.
I don't hate Disney.
I don't hate Disney either.
I certainly have issues with some of the choices they've made over time. So I guess I'll leave it at that.
Could have done without that.
I actually don't have too much of a could have done without that. I think my main thing, the intro with the hi Barbie, hi Barbie, hi Barbie, hi Barbie, that was way too long for me, and it was really grating. Much. Yeah, after a while I was like, dear God, can you just stop already? I can't handle I can't handle this anymore. The other thing that bothered me, again, not big philosophical thing, but the Ken song at the very end when all the Kens are doing their little choreographed dance, I think I actually even got up and left the room for that, because I was like, I'm like, I need a glass of water and this is not important, so I'm just gonna go do something else real quick. That could have been not in the film, and it would have been fine. Or
at least shortened. It just went on forever, just like the Hi Barbie thing. And I agree with you. When I first started watching the film, I remember thinking to myself, oh boy, this is what we're
like like what am I into right now?
Yeah, but you know, I saw it in the theater, so there's no getting out. Unless I walk out, and I'm not gonna walk out that early in a film. You know, I have watched movies that started off terribly, it turned out to be great. And this actually turned out to be something I enjoyed. So yeah, you know. But I hear you. Mine is, the reason I had you go first is because I have a pretty heavy could have done without that.
Could have done without that.
The board members in this film are silly and wacky and harmless. And I was really disappointed that that was how they were portrayed. I don't know who the actual board members of Mattel are. I don't know them personally, so I can't personally judge them as people. But as a company, yeah, they're horrible. And the reality is that Mattel allows the type of abuse that they have been supposedly condemn, right? Or in short, they exploit and abuse their workers, and especially their female workers in China, through their Chinese affiliate. And this is the affiliate in China that builds their products. And even though this came to light, Mattel did nothing about it. So they didn't even try to put it in a box, you know. Here's a list of their human rights violations and workplace violations, right? So workplace psychological violence, sexual harassment, occupational health and safety problems, worker representation, social insurance, and maternal protection. This is the tip of the iceberg, and I'm going to put the link here for people to go and read this. This is not me making something up. This is actually from the China Labor Watch, and they investigated 2 companies, and Mattel's subsidiary was one of them. So my could have done without that is you portrayed these CEO and board executives as wacky and fun, and they're not. They're not. There should have been something else in there. But of course, if Mattel is footing the bill for this film, you're not going to get that. And it's a shame. but I'm going to do it. I'm going to tell you. So there you go. Anyway.
Wow. Okay, Daniel, that was like an excellent mic drop moment, and I so appreciate that. And I actually want to say something, because you just sparked a brain cell about something else that I noticed in the film. When Ken approaches one of the business people on the street, and they're talking about how, well, men are in charge of everything, and that's great. And the guy says, men aren't really in charge. Well, we kind of are, but we just hide it better now. And that was so accurate, I think, to what a lot of corporations now do. I think the majority of them pay lip service to all kinds of social issues, and they don't mean it. It's not a real thing. They do it because they want to gain the trust of their consumers, and they're trying to do what just make themselves appear to be beneficent in a way that they aren't.
Well, that goes back to
that was
capitalism, consumerism, and you're absolutely right. They're more interested in not hurting their bottom line. And I mean, that can be said about a multitude of issues and companies. And it's an inherent problem in a capitalist society. I'm not saying capitalism bad, or something else good. I think you should take the best from multiple types of, governments and make the best one. Instead of just going, well, this one allows me to get away with all this crap, so I like this one the most. Yeah, let's be a little bit more discerning and more intelligent and put together something that works for everybody. But that makes me some kind of socialist? I don't know. Who knows? Well, some pejorative that allows them to easily dismiss the idea of, hey, let's all work together and come up with the best thing. I'm riffing too much, aren't I?
I don't know. I think we're both. I feel like we're both a little bit of ramblers today, but I think that's okay.
And I like that. We're changing things around here. We're not. It doesn't all have to be, But let's go on to our next segment. Did you catch that moments from this film?
My only big one is the narrator. If you don't know those lovely dulcet tones of a badass, that, folks, was Helen Mirren. Amazing. And I was really happy that she was able to lend her voice to this film.
Dulcet.
Yeah.
Cha-ching. Nice one, Tanya. Nice.
Yeah, I know that, dude.
I know Rhea Perlman from Taxi, Cheers, Frasier, and the Tortellis. And I've seen her in a bunch of things, but those are the things that I truly know her from. Cheers is in my top 3 favorite TV series of all time. So I'm extremely familiar with her on that level. Maybe not so much a lot of her other work, but Tanya, how do you know Rhea Perlman?
I know her from Cheers. And what's funny is when I was preparing for this episode and going through her filmography, I was shocked because she's such a fixture in my brain, because she's such an indelible person in terms of just the mark that she leaves on you. You remember her so clearly, and I felt like I probably had seen her in a ton of other things. No, not really. I've seen her in Cheers and probably not much else, and that was shocking to me because she always just felt she's like background radiation. Rhea Perlman, background radiation. But yeah,
background radiation. Okay. Although, disclaimer, watching Rhea Perlman will not get you radiation poisoning.
Well, like background radiation when you look deep into the universe.
Oh, that kind. Okay,
yes,
yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, so that permeates everything. Yes.
I have to mirror what you just said. I went through her filmography and realized, wow, I don't think I've seen any of these films. It was when I got to the television area that I was like, okay, This is why I've known her in many of these shows. But if I go through them, we'll look at Stalk the Wild Child. No. Mary Jane Harper Cried Last Night. Intimate Strangers. Like Normal People. Taxi. Well, that was my first knowledge of Rhea Perlman, because she showed up in that, and I remember liking her in the series. She then did a couple of things, and she was on Cheers. She was on Saturday Night Live. She married Danny DeVito, by the way. So that was a famous power couple for a long time. And that was another reason that you felt like you saw her a lot, is because those two had kind of gamed the market at the time. And they were very interesting to watch.
You are so correct. I totally forgot about that. But yeah, you're right.
She was also on St. Elsewhere, Amazing Stories, The Tortellis, which is the same character from Cheers, right? It was the spin-off. And that only lasted, what did that last? Was it maybe a pilot? I don't know if there was an actual season for it or not. She was on Blossom, Sesame Street, The Simpsons. Let's see, what else here? No. Mad About You, Ally McBeal, Frasier, Becker. So 2 shows with former castmates from Cheers. Law and Order, Special Victims Unit, Hung, Wilfred, Oliver's Ghost, Hot in Cleveland, Robot Chicken, Kirsty, so another former Cheers member. Let's see. Harley Quinn, Star Wars The Bad Batch, which I haven't seen yet. So that's good to know. Poker Face, which I have watched. Not Dead Yet, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And she was also in, I'm just making this up, Woody, Norm, Cliff. She was in all those, right? How come they didn't make those? I'm just goofing. But yeah, she's been a staple of television for a long time, and I've seen her in a lot of those shows. They didn't necessarily come to mind, though. What comes to mind for me is always going to be Cheers and Taxi. So she's pretty awesome. She's no longer with Danny DeVito, I'm sad to say. But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe he's patriarchy. All right.
Don't bother me now, sweet. Can't see I'm busy. Yeah, but what is that? It's a major award. A major award?
Yay, I love awards.
It is the Academy of Popped, or the Popped Academy. I haven't decided, which do you like better, the Academy of Popped or Popped Academy?
Oh, I don't know. I kind of love hate both of them, but for different reasons. Maybe we should have our viewers vote.
Or
Put
give
in
us
the
a better,
comments
or give us a
which
better
one.
title
Or a better title.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, viewers, how about you give us the name for this segment? We're going to give awards. And if you've watched the last season, you know what this segment is. We give an award for the best performance and the worst performance. Starting out with, what, should we start with the best or the worst?
Worst to first.
All right, we're going to go with the worst first. The worst first. Worst performance nominees are Will Ferrell for his performance as the CEO of Mattel, and this one's funny, all of the Barbies when they came out of their Ken-induced stupor. And the winner is Will Ferrell.
Congratulations.
Now,
You earned it.
That was your recommendation, but I actually agreed with that because your rationale was what swayed me over. I was the one who came up with all of the Barbies coming out of their Ken-induced stupor because their acting literally pulled me out of the film. And I don't know if it was intentionally supposed to be that or what, but you gave me a rationale for Will Ferrell that won me over. And why don't you tell everyone what that was?
I would love to. Will Ferrell phoned this role in, and I felt the entire time that I was watching it that he literally just signed on for this movie for the paycheck. I mean, we've seen him in a million things. He is electric and energizing and hilarious and magnetic. And he was none of those things in this film. He was there to deliver silly lines, move around a little bit, and bring home a fat paycheck. So,
Yep. You won me over at that argument. Part of me wonders if they didn't want to play him down a little bit and not make the film one of his over-the-top things about him. But at the same time, it feels so... So yeah. Worst performance. Congratulations, Will. We love you. And that moves us to the best performance. We had 4 nominees for this. And I think before we actually give this, I do want to say that I really thought that the cast was stellar. It was phenomenal. There was a lot of good acting in this film. And I was shocked by that. I even didn't mind Michael Cera. All right. Best performance. Our nominees are Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling, Kate McKinnon, and America Ferrera. And our winner was Margot Robbie. And she just owned it. She owned the role. She looked the part. She acted the part. And I felt that she was invested and really wanted to do something with this role. And she didn't disrespect it or kind of slough it off. She didn't Will Ferrell it. Let's put it that way. What do you feel about her performance?
yeah, her performance was great. For me, she made this film. There was something very sweet in her delivery. She acted the naivete perfectly. Her micro expressions, her mannerisms were so doll-esque. I don't even know quite how she did it, but like she looked and moved very doll-y-ish, which I loved. And she was just extremely likable in the role. And how could you not love Barbie having watched this film? Like if I were a 10-year-old girl going in to see this movie, holy moly, like
Right.
I would be sold on Barbie forever. I would need everything. But yeah, no, she was great. I definitely got a little bit of Elle Woods vibes from Legally Blonde. I felt like she might have been channeling some Reese there a little bit. But yeah, she did phenomenal.
I find it interesting because there's a bit of irony in the fact that this role really made me appreciate her as an actress. I've seen her in other things, and I always thought she did really well, but I also felt like, she's kind of that stereotypical beautiful blonde, and she gets the roles because of that. And, but the more I've watched her as an actress, the more I realize, wow, she's damn good. She's not just getting these roles because she's pretty or, she's the blonde or this, that, or the other. She really puts something of herself into her roles. And the Harley Quinn performance was phenomenal. The Wolf of Wall Street performance was phenomenal. And I'm pleasantly surprised by how she's turned me around. And that I say that there's the irony because it took a film where she was the beautiful blonde, to make me go, oh, wow, she actually, this wasn't what I was expecting. This was actually a pretty powerhouse performance. So congratulations, Margot.
I agree. And what I find hilarious, and this is, I think the irony is rich in this, that Ryan Gosling was nominated, but Margot Robbie was not.
Well,
in a movie
to be
that
fair,
was
he did give a really good performance.
he
I don't know-
absolutely did.
I
mean,
don't know
hers
that it
was
was
more
better than hers, but
yeah, hers was more nuanced, definitely. And
Yeah.
I don't even know, like last year, like what actresses, like maybe the actress pool was deep. I don't know.
yeah,
Who
I
knows?
don't quite remember. But Academy Award nominations, take them with a grain of salt. It's usually industry stuff, industry people propping up the people that they want to prop up and the films they want to prop up. So I don't get overly excited about them.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like I actually haven't been emotionally invested in the Academy Awards since Braveheart won Best Picture.
Yeah.
I think that was when I was fully like, I must see. And then I just lost interest after a
I
while.
remember that. And I was pulling for Braveheart, interestingly, because as time went by and I started to realize just how completely historically inaccurate that film was, my opinion of the film changed. But yes, but here's
No.
the thing:
Oh my.
the film itself is still good. It's just that they changed so many things that historically you shouldn't change in a film, especially if you're going to sell this as something that people are going to remember, because they're going to believe that's the history. And it's so not the history. Like, so not the history. I'd rather watch Outlander, you know, or
Mhm.
Highlander. I mean, because even though they make no pretense about that being historically accurate. Let's get to popping. Tanya, how many pops do you give Barbie?
I give Barbie 3 pops. There was a Why are you laughing?
You'll see.
Okay. There's a lot that I really liked about this film. The performances were charming, the set design, visually, it was great fun to look at. There were some really heartfelt and lovely moments, though I don't think that they were the ones that the filmmakers were concentrated on. And I feel like that was a huge miss. My downsides are that it felt, I think I said this word before, but it still holds up, perfunctory and juvenile, and not in a good way. So,
Wow.
3 pops.
3 pops. That's pretty in the middle. Yeah.
It is.
So I give Barbie 3 pops. That's why I was laughing. I loved it, and I was thoroughly entertained, and for all the reasons that you just pointed out. Wonderful sets, great acting, a plot that was pleasantly unexpected. I didn't think I was going to like this movie when I went in to see it, and I almost got there with a hello Barb, you almost got there, but I stuck it out, and I really liked it. As I mentioned earlier, it did wrangle with certain social issues, but didn't tackle them. And it ignored some of the more egregious, I can say that word, I promise, egregious social issues that I feel it should have addressed. They should have kept Mattel out of, I guess, controlling what was being put on the screen. I guess you couldn't. That's probably part of the deal. But overall, I would watch this film again. And that says a lot about a film made after a toy doll.
Fact.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fact. All right.
You've been dropping a lot of fact bombs today, Daniel.
Boom. All right. Well, I'm going to drop some facts right now. You can find us at www.poppedpodcast.com. You can email us at daniel@poppodcast.com or tanya@poppodcast.com. We love when you comment on our YouTube page, watch our premieres, because at the premieres you can interact with us in real time while we watch it with you. We are on several podcatchers where you can find us. We're on all the socials, Facebook, TikTok, which we'll be trying to use in the near future here, Instagram. We're on X, even though I'm debating deleting that because it seems so irrelevant anymore. Although there are 1 or 2 celebrities on there that I talk to through X, so maybe not. It's probably the only thing saving it from getting cut. And we're also on Blue Sky. And yeah. So, we also have a Patreon. Tanya, tell them about Patreon.
Yes. So we do have a Patreon. You will notice as you watch this entire video, did you see an ad? There's no ads. So if you love what we do and you would like to support us, you think that we are bringing some value to your space of entertainment, Gen X commentary, and you really want us to continue what we're doing, please go to our Patreon page to support us. It really means a lot to us. It's gotten us through some tough times already, and we really, really appreciate it. So thank you.
Yeah. Rightio, cheerio, chaps. Patreon. Yeah, that was weird. Okay. Tanya, you have anything else?
Nope. Oh, wait. No, I do. Daniel.
What's that, Tanya? I'm keeping this.
Sorry, it's been a minute. Okay. You know, Daniel, I think I'm too poop to pop.
Well, with that, I guess we're off and we're leaving as well.